Hi, I'm Sthe Mbete, and you are watching Joburg Today.
The Mayor of Johannesburg, Herman Mashaba, has announced that yet another city official has been arrested by the Hawks for attempting to solicit a bribe of 2,500 rand from a resident in Selby. The Hawks also arrested 2 members of the public who were former employees of an independent contractor who used to provide electricity disconnection services to City Power. So far, the city of Johannesburg, under the leadership of Mayor Herman Mashaba, has uncovered fraud and corruption worth 16.2 billion rand. More than 15 officials have been arrested from the finance department alone for fraud and corruption. Well, staying with fighting corruption, Corruption Watch has joined a handful of other nations in the world to celebrate individuals who display certain positive traits that inspire a corrupt-free society. They say while there are some rotten apples in society, there are plenty of people doing good.
Integrity Idol is a competition for South Africans to nominate good public servants, good policemen, teachers, nurses who are doing good things, who are working with integrity and honesty in the public service. You know, so much of the news that we hear about government and government employees lately is the bad things. So whether it's state capture or whatever corruption, and we know that there are good employees, genuine people, people with integrity who serve the public genuinely, whether they are teachers or nurses or policemen or administrators in the health and the safety and security or the education sector. And basically for us as Corruption Watch started in 2012 as a place where people could report corruption where they were seeing it. So much of the stuff that we were seeing about corruption was coming from, you know, things like the arms deal, which is at national government. But we knew that there was corruption going on in schools or in police stations or in licensing departments. And so we've created a place where people can report corruption, and we can investigate it and escalate it if we need to. But what's great about this initiative is that instead of the naming and shaming that we're so used to doing, we can name and fame. We can celebrate the people that are doing things well.
It sounds very inspiring. It's sad, though, that it seems as if, judging from the reports and the amount of stories out there on corruption, that it's becoming, it seems to be becoming part of our DNA, isn't it?
Exactly. And so there's this feeling that it's part of the norm. Towards the end of 2016, there were all of these car accidents. You know, at the end of December, always the transport department releases the number of car accidents, the number of deaths. And one of the things that was really interesting for us at Corruption Watch is how many complaints we got about the testing centers, the licensing centers, that no people got their license. You have to pay to get your license, or if you want to have your car tested for roadworthiness, then you have to pay. And so they
if you want to borrow a pen sometimes at the Home Affairs Department, I've experienced that.
Exactly, then you have to pay somebody. And so people, yes, there's all the things that we read in the news, but people also are experiencing corruption every day at Home Affairs, in the licensing department, at schools. But what we also know is that not all public servants are corrupt.
Absolutely.
That there are so many people doing amazing work who are dedicated in very difficult circumstances and who wake up every morning and do what they're supposed to do honestly and with integrity, and who serve the public like the term public servant says. And so we want to celebrate those people, because part of the idea of Integrity Idol is that sometimes change doesn't happen by punishing people. Change happens by celebrating the people that are doing good things. And by setting the standard and having everybody want to aspire to be the integrity idol in wherever it is that they work. And so that's what we want to do, is to really celebrate the people that are doing the things well, and also to, out of the nominations, to develop a community of public servants that do things well, because I think that sometimes if you are in your little place where you work and doing something very well and doing something honestly, you can think that you're the only one.
Sure.
And so what we hope that we do with Integrity Idol is to show people that actually there's a lot more of you doing the right thing than
Sure.
you think that there is. And in that way to create the support, to create an infrastructure basically, to promote doing the right thing in government instead of the wrong thing.
From what I understand, you're looking for how many integrity idols?
Many
As part of this
integrity
camp.
idols.
So there's not going to be just one?
There's not going to be just one. We're going to, so the nomination process is open and there will be a selection process, so picking out the best stories, and also from across the country. So yes, in Gauteng and Johannesburg, but also anywhere else across the country to identify integrity idols that will be celebrated.
How did you come up with this idea?
So the idea actually, very interestingly, it comes from Nepal in Asia, where one of the Accountability Lab, which is the organization that sort of runs all of this and does all the infrastructure and the logistics for it, one of the people that was associated with Accountability Lab thought, well, in Nepal, because they were also having the same problem of corruption and a lot of negativity really about what government does and what officials do. And they thought, and apparently in Nepal, idols is a big thing. People love idols. So thought of the idea of having an integrity idol in the same way that we celebrate the people that are performers, that sing, that do amazing things. Let us make celebrities out of good public servants. And so that's how the idea came up.
Sure.
And since then, there's been Integrity Idol in Nepal, in Pakistan, in Nigeria, in Liberia, in Mali, and so now it's South Africa's turn.
So was it well received?
It was so well received. I mean, in Nepal, their last version of Integrity Idol, about 25% of the population participated. They had 10 million people send nominations out of a population of 40 million.
Yeah.
And I think we could do the same thing here in South Africa, that we have so many good, dedicated public servants. And, you know, with the schools opening this week, all of the teachers, all of the principals that helped things to work under very difficult circumstances. Those are the kinds of people that we want to show, that we want to recognize. And I think also, you know, if you're going to read the newspaper every day, you'll have a very negative view of South Africa and very negative view of South Africans.
Absolutely.
That clearly these are people who don't mind.
It's time to amplify the positive energy.
Positive energy and the good people, because there are so many of us and we're not defined.
You mentioned schools, schools and teachers and principals and all sorts of leaders in different sectors of South African society. What about the youth? How are you getting them involved?
Well, what we're trying to do, so the way in which you nominate your Integrity Idol is on social media, so Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Go to Integrity Idol SA, Integrity Idol SA, and you'll find the pages, and then you can nominate the people off there. And really that's one of the ways in which we're trying to target young people, because it is...
So there's no age limit?
There's no age limit.
You don't have to be employed, you can just be...
You must have 2 years experience.
Okay. So if you're a school pupil and someone wants to nominate...
But if you've done good things in involvement in your school, and then also what we want...
I'm thinking of the youth, because it would be something like this would be so encouraging to inculcate that value of integrity.
Certainly, and it's so important. And so the limit is that somebody with 2 years experience, and then we have a age limit of you must be 5 years at least from retirement.
Okay.
So it must be somebody that's going to remain in the system, that will continue to inspire. I mean, one of the really inspirational
things... So what you're saying, someone that is actively involved in projects that's inspiring people.
Exactly. And somebody also that can mentor, that can be around for when we do Integrity Idol again in 2019, who will be there, who will still be doing what they're doing to inspire the next generation of Integrity Idols.
I'm interested in how you will measure these candidates up for having integrity.
So that's
how
going
do
to-
you measure up someone?
Exactly. So that's going to be a tough thing. And one of the things that the Integrity Idol team has done, so that's why I'm here, is that they've partnered with a number of organizations that work in civil society, but also that work on issues of integrity and ethics. So Corruption Watch is one of those, Nelson Mandela Foundation is another, Democracy Works Foundation is another, but then also different partners that work in particular areas, so that work in education, that work in policing, that work in healthcare, to set up panels that will then judge all of the nominations on a number of conditions of integrity. And basically, when you nominate somebody, you tell their story. Mm-hmm. You say, I want to nominate X person because they did this, they did that, they did this, and this is how they have contributed to their society, and this is how they have contributed with honesty and with integrity. Mm-hmm. And so what we're going to then do is that we're going to the team that's assembled has also specialized knowledge in the different areas. A really good example from Liberia is of a gentleman who is a teaching inspector. So he wasn't actually a teacher, but he had been employed by the government to go inspect various schools. And then the government of Liberia stopped paying him to be a teaching inspector, a school inspector, but he still did his job. Every day he would travel 21 kilometers to go look at all of the schools, and he would send his reports even though he wasn't
that's pure
getting
dedication is
pure
what you're
dedication.
talking about.
And so that's what we are looking. Obviously, somebody that is not being paid for the job that they are doing, I mean, that's an extreme situation, but what we're looking for is pure dedication.